That is an assumption, but in the very first instance, there was a reason why policemen had to have barracks.
Yes.
What was that reason?
It was a reason of having them together at a point where duty calls makes it easy for them to take the mass of the police body to wherever they're supposed to be. That was the initial reason. It was the colonial mentality of getting these people ready to go and do their chores. Anytime they need them, they don't need to start looking for them to gather them together. But we've gone past that, for God's sake. We've grown past that. Today we have communication system that alerts everybody within minutes.
This is not about a federal system.
No, it has nothing to do about federal system.
Where people are coming from different regions and you want them to be able to be comfortable in a particular area.
Excuse me. That's one of the areas where we need to start thinking right too. Because I do not see how a police officer who is brought from Zungeru to Lagos is going to be effective in policing the nooks and crannies of Isaleko. What does he know about the area?
But if he's allowed to live there or live within...
If he lives within that community, he gets used to the people there. He will know who his neighbors are. He knows the doctor there, he knows the lawyer there, he knows the miscreant there. So it's easy for him to be able to have a profile of the people that live within his community. That's what policing is all about.
Okay. If you were to shut down the police barracks, as you suggested,
Yeah.
how much of orientation can that change? Because if you do that, they live within us. That's not the end of the problem, is it?
It's the beginning of the solution to the problem. Now, the code of conduct that has just been reeled out will become a standard against which you measure the performance of the average police officer. That's the essence of the code of conduct. Now, that becomes the yardstick against which you are able to say to the police officer who lives within your community, sir, you're going beyond your bounds, because it's public knowledge. I know what the code of conduct is. He knows what the code of conduct is. Within the community, it is easy for me to be able to say, sir, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, but isn't it one thing for us all to know what the code of conduct stipulates?
Yes.
And then another for the man who is violating it, who should know what it stipulates, to say,
But
well, you can shout all you want, but nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, but
to
somebody has to be able to tell him. Within the barrack system, if they have the mentality that, hey, that's the code of conduct, this is the way we're going to do it, that's it.
Circumvent
Exactly.
the conduct?
But once they're living within the larger society, somebody else who is not a police officer, who is so much younger, a student, will be able to say, sir, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. And that gets the policeman to think. Because you see, there is loss of dignity with policemen. They do not have self-respect. It is the uniform that they use to command the respect. If you go to other places in the world, the stance of a police officer sometimes tells you, without his uniform, that this must be a member of a force. It's either by the shape of his haircut, or by his stature, or by the way he speaks. His mien sometimes will also be able to give you an idea that this is likely to be someone who is within a force establishment. It's part of the training that they're given. But we have police officers who are pot-bellied, who don't have physique that will show you that this is someone who is out there to enforce the law. That's what we have here.
Well, let us also look at the issue of welfare, because if we're saying break down the barracks and, you know, have everybody come out, what kind of accommodation, for instance, do you think?
Have you ever been through a police barrack? Please, without meaning to deride or derogate what is there, please pay a visit to a police barrack. So you'll be able to form your own opinion.
We have actually.
You have. It's not a place where you'll be able to breed people with good culture. It is not.
Okay, but ever since then, I mean, 20 years ago is a long time.
Yes.
And we have several committees that have been put in place by different governments. They come.
I don't know what they've
go.
been looking at, but I have been seeing this all these years, and I have said at every opportunity I have to be able to say something to cause reform in the police. I have said this to some of my own friends who are senior officers in the police. The reaction is, how are you going to do it?
It's a reality that we must face. I mean, in terms of, again, I would like to say that, or ask, if we do away with the barracks, what kind of accommodation? I mean, is it that we're going to abolish the barracks and then have them go and live in places not better than the barracks?
Excuse me. Where I live, a police officer can live there. Where you live, a police officer can be your neighbor. That's what happens in other societies.
We're talking about affordability.
So there's got to be a scheme then.
That's got to be a scheme. There's got to be a scheme. The police will not prosper within the police barrack system. They have not prospered. They have become a tool over the years. We need to understand that.
Yeah, but does it mean that, because perhaps it still boils down to the welfare.
Yeah.
You can still be in a barrack system, correct me if I'm wrong, and the barrack system, if you upgrade it to a first-class situation, a first-class environment, what would be wrong with that?
The attitude of us and them is still there.
So that's the key thing.
It is very key. The police is part of our community. My brother, who is a police officer, is part of my family. He should know me. He should know the criminal in me. When he's in the barracks, he doesn't know that.
But if that were to happen now, because who knows what becomes of the latest report, I think it was the Pyrosign Day Committee report, which was submitted to the executive arm of government, and I think they said they will set up a panel to come up with a white paper. At the end of the day, if they were to implement some of those recommendations and the barrack system maybe not given top priority, does it mean they will be out of course?
I'm not even sure that what I'm saying is in any of these documents that they're going to put together. I'm not sure they have said that, because it would look like this is an impossible task. It doesn't have to be done one time. Run a pilot scheme. See how it works.
Because it's a huge ask.
Of course
Really?
it is a huge... I mean, it's like we've never, ever thought about it. But that's where the rot is.
In the barracks.
I'm telling you.
What about these stations themselves? If you have to deal with the barracks, you have to deal with the police stations, the way
The police stations,
it looks.
the problem with police stations is a little different from that of the barracks. The problem with the police station is that of maintenance. Is that of people who work within the barrack not having respect for their workplace. The state of dilapidation and all that, it doesn't have to be. Yes, you're having the police station to take care of criminals, yeah. Therefore, you don't need to give it a 6-star hotel kind of environment. But there are people with dignity who work there, the police officers themselves. At least they can do something to maintain and sustain their own working environment. They can replace bulbs that are burnt. They could fix windows that are broken. They don't do none of that. As a matter of fact, my friends would say, the day you build a very beautiful police station and you commission it, from that day on, you throw away the key to the door because they don't need the key to the door anymore. It's supposed to be open 24 hours. I think that is the attitude that goes on within the police stations. That this is a place that is forsaken from the day it's been built.